and a warm welcome to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela, your host, and it's our last episode of 2020. I will catch up with you again after a 3-week break, and I thank you so much for being with me on the show throughout the year. I really appreciate it. But today, my guest is from the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation from the Social Welfare Department's Child Services Unit, the Director, Ela Tukutukulevu. It's good to have you on the show.
Well, Louise, and thank you for the invitation to be here and to make the last of 2020.
Yes, and I think no better way to do it but to highlight our children, which are very precious to us. So anyhow, before we move on, could you please explain briefly the kind of work carried out by the Child Services Unit under the Department of Social Welfare?
Thank you, Louise, and I know I've been on the show for a couple of times, but I think it's only appropriate that we go back to the work that we do.
Yes, please.
And social welfare is not only about assisting the disadvantaged or giving out pension schemes and all of that, but another very important role of the department is it's a legislative responsibility to care and protect our children. So that means welfare officers who work for the department are legally bound by certain laws. So there are a number of laws that we work with. But in Fiji, like other countries, we are guided by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, or the UNCRC.
Okay.
So Fiji was, we had signed that in 1993. We ratified it in 1993. So following that, then there are legislations at the national level to kind of cement the responsibilities. So that mandatory or the mandate for the protection of children lies with the Department of Social Welfare.
Okay, right.
So there are certain laws. There
Yes.
are a number of laws that govern the work that we do.
Yes, I mean, I know there's a lot of it that you have to do, and if you had to explain it, probably finish the whole show. We wouldn't finish explaining. But of course, the main thing is that you protect the rights of our children, and of course, in school as well. I know, well, we'll get to that later. But anyhow, thank you very much for that explanation. Now, just last month, on the 19th of November, you marked Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect. Now, what did the Child Services Unit under the Department of Social Welfare do to mark this day, and what was the theme in 2020?
Thank you, Louise. Every year on the 19th of November, welfare officers or the Department of Social Welfare, we come together and we remember our victims of abuse, children that have been victimized by, their perpetrators.
Okay, so there is various abuse, you put them in categories. So there's quite a bit of them. Maybe you'd just like to highlight what they are, what the abuse of children include.
So there are different types of abuse. Sexual abuse, for one.
That's the worst one. I mean, no, none is worse. But I mean, like I said, the statistics from the DPP, you only have to read it every month to be quite disgusted. Yeah.
So sexual abuse, there's physical abuse, there's neglect. We also have abandoned babies, as forms of abuse. And then there's exploitation as well. But for us in Fiji right now, with statistics that we have been receiving, over the years now, over 2 or 3 years, including this year, highest for us has been child neglect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So neglect can be medical neglect. It can be just a general neglect of children, where as parents, as caregivers, we don't pay much attention, or we leave our children unsupervised and then they get into trouble.
True.
Or, they become victims of our negligence.
Yes.
Sexual abuse is also something that's on the rise. With teenage pregnancies as well. So all of that, there are different forms of abuse.
Yes.
Then you find children who are begging on the street or who are selling. Those are, like exploitation as well. So anything that will affect the child's development, the child's well-being, that can be, we can say that that is abuse.
Yes, so because it's a duty. It's the duty of parents to nurture the children to, grow up to know good morals and be a good citizen of the country. But I know there are other things that come into play as well, broken homes. Sometimes this has, attributes to children going astray too. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are different reasons
Yes.
why, when children fall in such categories. Often we find because of dysfunctional families.
Yes.
Where, there's only one parent, or otherwise children are being cared for by grandparents or caregivers and all of that. But it's on a case-by-case basis that we look at cases on a case-by-case basis. Yeah.
Okay.
Not every case is the same,
Okay.
but the issues are the same. So whether you are in Fiji or in the village or in the city somewhere, issues, affecting children are the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, like we spoke about how the Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect Day. It's an opportunity for you to raise awareness on the rights of the children. But we still need to explain the theme, which I think is really important.
Yeah, thank you, Luis. So every year, like I said, it's part of our work plan as the department to put aside the day. And this is a special day that, we like I said, we want to remember, to commemorate the lives of the young victims. So every year when you see that it falls on the 19th, and on the very next day, the 20th of November, is the World Children's Day.
Okay,
Yeah.
it was
So,
together in a good timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every year we try to coin themes, and how do we do this? We look at the stats. So what we have been doing is when we are collecting all the statistics for, say, the quarter or the year, looking at the trends.
Yes. Now that should be really interesting, but we'll have to come back to that in a moment. Thank you very much, Ella, on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. We're back on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela, your host, and my guest is from the Social Welfare Department, Child Services Unit, the Director, Ela Tukutukulevu. So where we left off, you spoke about how you come up with the themes, the different three themes of Child Abuse and Neglect Day.
Yeah, thank you. So last year we've kept the same theme from 2019 to 2020.
Oh, okay.
The reason being is because neglect, like I said, is still high on our list. So when we look at neglect, when we look at the stats, we find that children are being affected merely because of parental negligence.
Yes.
Yeah? So this year, as well as last year, so we carried forward the same theme,
Yes.
which is healthy homes help children grow. So for us, we felt that everything comes back to the home. Everything starts from the home. If the home is good, if the home is healthy, if the home is happy, then the children will not wander. They would prefer to be at home than on the street somewhere, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, so for us, if the foundation is okay, is
Yes.
good, if there's love, there's respect, there's protection, there's all of this inside the home, that will also keep the child.
Yes, I mean, it's the duty of the adults, whether you're the parents or the guardian, to teach your children well. I mean, we do have children who just don't listen, full stop, but I know that has a lot to do with it. We need to lead by example. Yeah? There's a proverb, as the old cock crows, so crows the young. So, I mean, that shows that, you know, for the adults, we're the one to mold the future of our generation, our children, and to bring them up as happy children. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a social welfare officer from the Child Services Unit to be, you know, getting reports of our children, especially being sexually abused, you know, by the very people that live with them. You know, this is something which we really need to pay attention to. Now, we have Christmas coming up, and this is a time, you know, where, I mean, where people, if they don't go to church or whatever, but this is the time where children, you know, can, you know, make you know, a very mischievous maybe plan. So, yeah, so, you know, maybe we might want to look at the stats, if you like, of child cases.
Yeah, just before we go to that, I think it's also important to note that the statistics that we capture from our partners.
Okay.
So in 2010, there was an act that was passed. It's called the Child Welfare Act.
Okay.
So that act is basically about mandatory reporting of all child cases to the permanent secretary for the ministry.
Okay.
Yeah, so these mandated reporters are police, teachers, doctors, welfare officers, and lawyers.
Right.
So the statistics that so when the act was passed in 2010, one of the requirements was for us to also maintain a database. So this database is a database that collects data from the referrals that we receive from our partners.
Right.
But right now, with all kind of issues, you know, going on with our children, we are also not only receiving from these mandated professionals, but we're also receiving from concerned citizens and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, because we also, in 2015, we had established a national child helpline.
Yes.
So that's the ministry's, I mean, that's the government's project.
Yes.
So when this was established, we had outsourced it to the Medical Services Pacific.
Right.
So the NGO, MSP, runs the child helpline.
And they do a wonderful job too. Yes.
So we are also receiving referrals through the child helpline.
Oh, okay.
So if we are looking at stats, Louise, from January to, say, October 2020.
Right.
And these are the only reported cases,
Yes.
So far, we have received 1,304 cases.
Okay.
That was reported between the months of January to October 2020.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So if you kind of, what shall I say, filter them into the different categories, do you have that information as well?
Yeah.
Like for sexual abuse, for neglect and all that? Maybe you might like to break that down for us?
Okay, so like I said, with the neglect being high, so out of the 1,304, 399 is child neglect.
Okay, so that's child neglect, 399, which includes just what?
This is medical neglect and, you know, all kinds of neglect.
Not feeding them.
Not feeding them, not supervising them.
Which is so important. The supervision, that is, I reckon, is one of the main ones. Yeah. Okay, so right.
So second on the list is the physical abuse with 292.
292 physical abuse, as in beating,
hurting the child.
So actually physical abuse. What about mental? No.
Physical abuse is you know, when you inflict injury.
Man.
So you know.
That's
when
huge.
We try to discipline or punish our children to the extent that we hurt them.
No, that's just not on.
Yeah. So when they get hurt, then we take them to the hospital, and because the doctors and nurses know their role under the Child Welfare Act, they would report this to us.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how we get the statistics.
Or
otherwise, like I said, through the Child Helpline.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
And then third is sexual abuse. 187.
187. So we have at the top 399 for neglect, 292 for physical abuse, and then number 3, 187. And we're talking about reported cases so far this year up until October.
Yeah.
Okay, just one question, Ella. How does the Child Services Unit, follow up a report of sexual abuse? That would be interesting to know of children.
Yeah, so with when we receive the referral, so say, for example, if it's from Tokutokulevo, if it's from the north, we have our divisional welfare officers, our field officers in the field. So if I receive a report from the north, I would the first point of contact for me would be the senior welfare officer looking after the Northern Division. Or if it's in Lambasa, then it's the Lambasa office.
Okay.
So these people, they at the field, they also have the Interagency Committee.
Okay.
So the interagency consists of their other partners. So,
yes, like you said,
so,
medical,
yeah.
civic services, and all these other ones. Yeah. Oh, sorry, we have to come back for that.
Okay.
On Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. Thank you for your good company. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela, your host, and my guest. So good to have her on the show. It's been a while, and she's from the Social Welfare Department, the director, Ela Tukutukulevu. So it's really good to know that how you work, how the Child Services Unit works when you have a report of sexual abuse. Now, you don't work alone. You have, a lot of people who are involved. So you can continue from there.
Yeah, so with sexual abuse, our people on the field would work with police, with medical officials for medical and all, and of course, they are the ones that will do case management for that case. So from their office to the police to medical, all of that is done in collaboration with their partners.
Right,
Yeah.
because you need to get all of the proper documents. I suppose it's a sensitive issue because it's sexual abuse. I can imagine. I mean, even for your officers, I'm sure they must be trained. How to talk to the children.
Yeah.
It must be awful. So maybe you might like to share how the social welfare officers dealing with sexual abuse cases react or feel, or how do they do their work?
Yeah, I guess for cases like that where it involves children, sometimes it's very important. Part of our work is, that we do not really show emotion, because
But even though it's fair,
so
must be, yes.
so that we sometimes we need to build trust and all of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So for cases of sexual abuse, if the welfare officers if feel that the child is traumatized and needs counseling, again we do not counsel, but we work with our partners.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to note that when it comes to such cases, that social welfare officers are not working alone.
Okay.
That we have other partners who are there to help us in their various fields. So for counseling, we would engage Empower Pacific or MSP. Yeah. So there are also children who are suicidal. There's organizations like Lifeline that specialize in suicide counseling. Yeah. So for us as welfare officers, we are child-centered. We would put the child in the middle, and we will work and look for support services for the child.
Okay.
Yeah. So our priority is the safety of the child. So even if the child needs to be removed, that's another role that we have under the Act. So we are legally bound again to, the Act gives us the leeway to remove a child from his or her home if we feel that the child is not safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is why we have children's homes all across Fiji.
Okay.
So we have about 11 homes that look after children.
Right.
Yeah? So if a child is raped in her home, and the welfare officer in the north feels that this child is not safe. Why? Because the perpetrator is a member of the family and still a suspect, has not been charged.
Yeah.
There's a lot of family tensions, for example.
Yes.
The welfare officer in the north would need to go to court and to get a care order. The care order means, Luis, that once the court is satisfied that the child is not safe and needs to be removed, the court would grant us a care order. So the care order means that now the child is comes under the care of the director of social welfare.
Okay.
So the Director of Social Welfare becomes his or her guardian, legal guardian, under that order.
Yes. Okay, so I know that sexual abuse is a really serious offense. Now, if anyone commits such acts against our children, how long does it take before the perpetrator is charged? And I mean, you need to obviously gather evidence and all this. So it must be quite complicated.
For that question, Luis,
Police.
our role is really to ensure that the child is protected. So safe custody, that's where we come in, and looking for support services for the child. As for how long it takes, that's really depend on the police.
That will be the police,
because of evidence.
Yes. Okay. So that I that will become under their jurisdiction. But anyway, you spoke about 399 children neglected. You might like to highlight some common forms of neglect by these families.
Yeah. So when we analyzed the data, then we saw that the common cases of neglect were really caused by a lack of supervision. And there are children who are taking harmful chemicals. You know, they ingest genola and things like that. Then they end up in the hospital.
I mean, out of these 399, we have cases that children are actually doing this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I think the other one is education neglect. You know, where children who are supposed to be in school are not being sent to school.
So obviously the parent has absolutely no control over their child.
So sometimes there are older siblings babysitting the younger siblings, or the parents go to work, and there are cases like that.
Yes, I mean, but I know with COVID-19 too now, you might have seen more neglect. So like if you compare these stats to last year, are they around the same, or are they a bit more, maybe?
Last year, I think this year is a little bit more than last year.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it should be most probably, yeah.
Most probably because of COVID.
Yeah, the pressure.
Because now parents have to find new stresses for their children, you know, and all of that. And many of them have lost, some have lost their jobs.
Yes, I mean, imagine sometimes when parents get stressed, they take it out on their children. But we'll talk about more in a moment. Gold FM, only the classic hits. We're back on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela, your host. Welcome to the show. And my guest is from the Social Welfare Department, the Children's Unit. And I think I got that wrong, but anyway, the Child
Services Unit.
Yes, Child Services Unit. And the director, thank you so much for taking up the time to talk to us, the Assistant Director, Ela Tukutukulevu. Now, remember, this is live on radio. We normally have this on FBC TV. It's going to be at night at 11 and on Wednesday mornings at 11. But if you're listening live right now and there's something that you want to ask, or maybe just to be a part of the conversation, you can call 3220-906 or 7732-906. Now, I'm really sorry, Ella, that I did interrupt you when we were talking about the theme for the Healthy Homes Help Children Grow, and how on that day you had, this special day for children. And I asked you, what did your Child Services Unit do?
Yeah, this year we did not really go big. So we decided to launch an Interagency Guideline. So it's a book that we had started, that we had developed in 2015.
Okay.
And in 2018, we revised it. Then it was finalized in 2020.
Oh, it's a long time coming. For 5 years, but
Yeah.
must have been well planned,
Yeah. So it's a book. It's a book. It's a guideline, and the book really contains all these partners that work with children.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
and their roles.
Oh.
So, for example, the Minister of Health, Minister of Education, Fiji Police Force, Minister of Etoke, and Minister of Labor and Social Welfare. So when we launched the book, all these permanent secretaries responsible for these agencies, they actually signed as a sign of commitment, making a commitment. So when you look at the book, it's really a working document for us. So for example, if I pick up a book and I want to know what are the steps or procedures or the roles of the Ministry of Health officials when they have a child in their care, the roles are there. Yeah. And so for us, the same is for us when there's a child. Our role is also explained in that book. Yeah? So it's called the Interagency Guideline.
Okay, Interagency Guideline, and how does it benefit you?
Yeah, it benefits every one of us,
Yeah.
those that work with children,
Oh, okay.
because that's for ease of reference for us when a child is in our care. So if I want to know what the Ministry of Education's procedures are when there's a child, it's summarized in that book.
Yeah. So it makes it more organized, the steps that you take, that you know exactly where you're going, what you're going to do, rather than, just thinking, okay, right, what I'm going to do next. It's all there, guideline, which is really good. That's nice.
Yeah, so I thought, Luis, it's important for us to also know that, when Fiji had ratified the CRC in 1993, then in 1994, Fiji had also formed a National Coordinating Committee on Children. Okay. So for short, it's called the NCCC.
Okay.
So this NCCC sits every quarter at national level. And so the NCCC had put together that Interagency Guideline, or the IAG for short.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So while we are meeting at national level on a quarterly basis, there's also interagency at the divisions and the district.
Right.
Yeah. So the same membership up here at the national, it's the same in the division. So when there's a child issue, for example, in the north, is the IAC, interagency committees, will come together and discuss. So if there's, for example, if we tell them that very high for the north is sexual abuse, for example. Okay. So when they come, that will be part of their agenda. When they come to meet, then they go together, like as a team, integrated approach. They go together to the community and raise awareness.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, like that's good, because we really need to raise awareness, at least to just get it into adults' minds that children are precious and they're there for us to nurture and make them grow up to be good people. So you spoke about out of 399 cases of neglect so far this year until October, you spoke about ingesting, that was the second one, ingesting like stuff chemical. Like so the child obviously is really stressed. Or about what? Have they been brought up, or maybe other issues as well?
Sometimes children face issues at home, and when they do not have any coping mechanism, for example, there's no one to listen to him or her. They kind of think of a short way. Oh my! Or maybe to get attention. Yeah.
Yes. I would say that as well. So. That's two of what you said, the most complaints. Are there any other? I'm just interested to know, because what was the first one again? You said physical abuse, right? No, physical abuse is separate.
That's for neglect, a lack of supervision.
Yeah, lack of supervision was the top. Then the ingesting
of chemicals
and
what education neglect.
Oh yes, and education neglect. I mean, just
sometimes there are children, when we receive reports from schools. Very simple examples are, when the children do not take lunch for, say, 3 times in a week, 3 times in a row.
Right.
That raises some concerns for the teacher. And so when officers go and investigate, and they find that why the child has not taken lunch is maybe because there's no regular source of income in the family. Things like that.
Yeah, especially now with the 2020 COVID-19, there must be a lot of cases like that. Man, we've run out of time again. On Speak Your Mind, thank you so much for your good company. We'll be back in a moment. This is Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela, your host. I hope you're enjoying the very last episode of 2020. It is so good to have had your company. I know when I always do outside broadcasts, when I go to the different parts of, Vitilevo, Vanuelevo, they're saying, hey, I know you, you look familiar and all this. I like your program. So, really good feedback. And yes, we don't have much time now. My guest, of course, from the Child Services Unit, the Assistant Director, Ela Tukutukulevu. Maybe just a message from you. How to encourage parents, communities, teachers, faith-based leaders, and the general public on protecting the rights of our children and how you think children are are to us.
Yeah, thank you, Louise, and to parents and caregivers out there. I think it's very important that that we show our children love and appreciation, and of course respect. And then, with the school holidays and Christmas coming up, sometimes children do things when they are idle, when they're left idle. So there are many things that we can involve them in at home. If there's outdoor activities, why not? Otherwise, if they are left idle, then these are the things that they can, there are things that they can end up doing.
That is so true. Again, another proverb. Idle hands are the devil's playthings. So, that comes in again. I'm a proverb kind of person. I love proverbs. But, yes, that is true.
Yeah. And so during these holidays, I think, with the statistics that we have, it's very important for us as parents, as caregivers, as community leaders and faith-based organizations, whatever sphere that we are in, that to ensure that our children are supervised all the time.
True.
Yeah. Maybe not all the time that we will be able to supervise them, but for us to know where they are, so that we can keep track of what they are doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes due to just pure negligence, that children drown, and some of them, they die by drowning.
Yeah, because of parent negligence. And then that's a good point you bring up, because we have Cyclone Yasa now,
Yes.
Making its way to Fiji. So, that would be a really good point to stress, to keep your eye on your children. They can just run away and go swim somewhere, in a flooded river. Yes, all these great points you're giving, yes.
That's very important. And also, sometimes we also need to take time to listen to the children.
True.
There are cases where children are wanting to share, but given our culture, we sometimes shut them out, not knowing that they're raising valid points.
Okay.
So first we need to be vigilant with them. Then we need to really ensure that they are supervised. If they are very young, then they need to be supervised.
Oh, just another thing, don't trust anyone in your home. Especially for the sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Don't trust, just don't trust anyone. Every month he's a grandfather, uncle, or brother, or half-brother,
Maybe that is something that we can say, because we find that a lot of perpetrators are known to the child.
Yeah.
So either related or a family friend or, relatives. And
be very careful,
close.
because I know for a fact that you get even pedophiles, they actually groom the child. The poor little kid doesn't know anything. So I think it's good to teach your child too, to know, to draw the line where anyone is going to touch you somewhere uncomfortably. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the importance of children to also know the good and the bad touches.
Yes.
You know?
I think this is really important because of the fact of the sexual abuse. Yes.
And I think, Louise, just probably a parting reminder is, the importance of reporting the cases.
Okay,
If the cases are not reported, then we will not be able to help the child. We will not be able to know that, this is a child that needs help.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the culture sometimes, even the church minister will say, no, just don't report it.
That's why we have a child helpline. You can go anonymous on that line.
Yes, well, yes, please. Please do that. I don't think, I mean, that's because of our culture. Don't bring shame on the family and all these things.
Yeah, I think this is sometimes where where families or parents, they weigh it's either the reputation of the family. Is it the reputation of the family over the safety of your child? Or
that's not right. That doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
And I thank you so much for bringing that up, Ella. All these really important points to be able to protect our children. Yeah. So maybe I know you haven't finished because you're an expert in this field. So we just only have a few more minutes for all the points that you've brought up. Really good. Yep.
So please remember the child helpline 1325.
1325.
That's a toll-free number, and you can call from any three network, TFL, Vodafone, or Digicel.
Yes.
So this is a 24-hour line, and there are counselors on the other side of the line that will receive your call and report on cases ASAP. So if you feel that a child in your community or in your neighborhood is in trouble and is in need of help, you can always call the child helpline.
Yes.
It's not compulsory for you to give your name, but it's very important for us to have the case reported.
Excellent. That is just too good. Thank you so much, Ella. I mean, for that, you just call up and be a good Samaritan. Christmas is coming up. Keep an eye on your children. It's a big celebration, and for Christians, and other people of different faiths, we all partake in Christmas. And, it's just interesting to note that, Jesus, he loved the children. Remember that story when the disciples said, they were all coming around Jesus and they said, go away, don't disturb Jesus. And Jesus turned around and said to them, it is these children, the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. So if you're a Christian and you're doing the opposite, doing something on your desire, which is, you can't control, please, control it. Go and see a counselor or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's it for us now, Ella. Thank you so much. And it is really good to finish off Speak Your Mind 2020 with a very important topic, and it is about our children. Again, thank you for your time. And from me, Louise Kaunisela, your host, I'll catch up with you again in 3 weeks' time. You have a brilliant Christmas and also a happy new year. And be sure to look after yourself, look after our children, please, and also look out for each other. Nisamo demanda.